Is your household income around 40k or less a year? If so, you could be entitled to some benefits. Hey everyone, and welcome to The Savvy Squaddy. In this video I'm going to go through universal credit, a benefit that could be available to around 10% of the UK armed forces. Sorry if I sound a bit croaky, I'm overcoming some lurgy. Firstly though, what is universal credit? Well, it's a means-tested benefit which is paid monthly and designed to help people with their living and housing costs. But wait, what the hell is means-tested? It just means that your eligibility to claim universal credit and how much money you get will depend on your income and how much capital you have. Essentially, it is based off your needs. The amount will vary depending on specific circumstances of the claimants. People with a job and savings will get less than those who do not have a job and savings, which makes sense. So, what are the eligibility criteria? Firstly, you do not have to be unemployed to claim universal credit, but you do have to be over 18 years old and under state pension age. You must also live in the UK. For those of you serving overseas, you are still eligible to claim. And finally, you must also have £16,000 or less in savings and investments. Any more, then you will not be eligible. If you live with your partner, then that £16,000 is total household savings. It is not per person. Also, even if one of you is not eligible for universal credit, you will still need to make a joint claim, as their income and savings will be taken into account along with yours when calculating the entitlement amount. There is a really handy benefits calculator that takes around 10 minutes to fill in, which will tell you if you're eligible or not and how much you could receive. I will link it below. Even if you think you are not entitled, it might still be worth filling it out, as you could be wrong. I did it myself even though I have over 16k in savings and investments, and rightly so, it showed me that my family are only entitled to child benefit and not universal credit, which makes complete sense. I was interested however to see what I would get if I had less than 6k in capital. Slight side note, you can have up to £6,000 in savings and investments with no deduction to universal credit, but anything between £6,001 and £16,000 will decrease the amount you will receive, just the same way as someone who is employed will have a reduced amount compared to someone who is not employed. Anyway, if I had no savings or investments, then I would be entitled to around £140 a month in universal credit. But wait, I live in SFA, which is heavily subsidised. So what would the amount be if I was privately renting the same house? Well, it would then go up to around £600 a month. Please bear in mind that this calculator is a guide. The actual amount could vary, and you won't know until your application has gone through or you seek professional advice. It is important to understand that universal credit is replacing 6 legacy benefits. If you happen to already be claiming income support, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related employment and support allowance, housing benefit, child tax credit, or working tax credit, then you will eventually be moved over to universal credit. The government will move you over automatically in a process called managed migration, and they expect to have the majority moved over by the end of 2024. It is possible to move over to universal credit beforehand on your own accord, but it's best to seek advice first. It may pay you to wait. This is because there are situations where you could end up out of pocket. If you submit a claim for universal credit and you are also claiming some of those 6 legacy benefits, then they will be stopped, and once they are stopped, you are unable to claim them again, even if you end up being on less under universal credit. It might be best to wait for the government to move you over, as you will then get transitional protection. Using the benefits calculator will give you a better understanding on whether or not it will benefit you to move over to universal credit or to wait. But if you are unsure, then seek advice. You will not know the exact amount you will get until you apply for it, at which point there is no going back. Places like Citizens Advice and Money Helper can offer professional one-to-one advice. So if you need it, then take it. Something that is really important and should not be overlooked is that you are unable to have a tax-free childcare account and claim universal credit at the same time. Therefore, for those of us in the military who can claim wraparound childcare, you will not be able to claim universal credit as well, even if you meet all the criteria. So again, you need to weigh up what would leave you better off before making any decisions. But how is it calculated? The amount of universal credit you will receive will depend on a number of factors, the first one being the standard allowance. This depends on the makeup of your household. The numbers are on screen now. Single people will naturally receive less than a couple. Once the standard allowance has been decided, extra payments will then be added to that. Extra payments will include things such as if you have any children, the childcare costs of those children if applicable, housing costs to help with rent and some service charges, and disability benefits. Heya, Joe from the future here. As I edit this video, the 2023 budget has come out and some changes have occurred to universal credit. The maximum amount you can get towards childcare costs has now increased to £951 for one child and £1,630 for two children. As universal credit is paid in arrears, many people would struggle finding the money to pay for the first month of childcare with no support. So it's also been introduced that the childcare portion of universal credit will be paid upfront for eligible families before then going back to being in arrears. Right, back to your regularly scheduled program. With these two added up, then come the deductions, which depend on things like your income, savings and investments above 6k, other income like pensions, whether or not you apply for an advance, and so on. Once the math is all done, the remaining result is how much you will get. When using the calculator, you can click on the How We Worked It Out option to see a breakdown of the calculation. So, what are some military-specific examples of what you could get under universal credit? Well, the scenarios I'm about to go through depict a number of different situations that service personnel may find themselves in. And I'm not going to lie, I've taken these examples directly from the PowerPoint presentation available to all serving personnel on Defence Connect. Simply search Universal Credit and it'll pop up. So, first up is Jeff. He is a Lance Corporal and a single parent to two children aged 7 and 3. They all live in a service family accommodation and the 3-year-old attends nursery 3 times a week. He has no savings or investment over 6k. In this case, Jeff would get £893.44p per month in universal credit, and he would also be entitled to around £145 every 4 weeks in child benefit. Next up is Jane, who is a second lieutenant who privately rents with her husband, who does not work. They have a 3-year-old who attends nursery once a week. They too have no savings or investments over 6k. Under these circumstances, Jane would receive £713.17p per month in universal credit and £87.20 in child benefit every 4 weeks. Joe is single and lives in the block. He has no children and no savings or investments over 6k. He is entitled to absolutely f*** all, and rightfully so. Slight tangent, but if you are single, live in the block, have no one financially dependent on you, and you're still broke at the end of the month, then you need to sort your shit out. You have no excuse to be complaining that you are not paid enough when there are actually people struggling out there whose take-home pay is less than your fucking disposable income that you just spunk down the drain every month on stupid consumeristic shit. Instead, you could be doing something productive with that disposable income that will set you up for a much better and secure future. I have a number of videos on this channel that cover investing in personal finance that would benefit you if you are one of these plebs. Okay, rant over. John is a staff sergeant on just over 43k a year. He is married with 2 children and his wife does not work. He currently lives in SFA and has no savings or investments over 6k. He would be entitled to around £92 a month on universal credit and £145 every 4 weeks in child benefit. For those of us in the military, if you have kids, a partner that does not work, or who works and the household income is around 40k or less, have less than 16k in savings and investments, and either privately rents or lives in SFA, then you stand a good chance of being entitled to universal credit. Again, use the calculator to give you a better understanding. You might be surprised. Also, when going through the calculator, those of us who live in SFA come under tenant private sector. And remember, you cannot have both tax-free childcare and universal credit. You will need to make that decision on which one leaves you better off. So, how can you claim for universal credit? You can do it online via the Gov website. I have stuck a link in the description below. You will need to make an account and follow the steps. If you are part of a couple, then both of you will need to create accounts, and one of you will get a linking code which will connect the 2 accounts. You will have to provide a bunch of information like your contact details, bank details, national insurance number, proof of identity, current employment, monthly income, housing costs, childcare costs, other income, savings, etc. Once the claim has gone through online, you will then have to have an interview in the job centre. In this interview, you will sign the claimant commitment, which essentially lays down the guidelines of the universal credit payment. If successful, then the universal credit payment is once a month. There is normally a 5-week gap from applying to payment, and if you think you will struggle in those 5 weeks due to not having that money, you can request an advance. This is a bit like a loan, but interest-free, and you will repay it back through your subsequent universal credit payments over a period of time. So you'll be paid less each month for a while if you take an advance. Now, something else I want to cover in this video is the stigmatism around claiming benefits. At the start of the plague, around 500,000 were eligible to claim universal credit, but didn't. Of this, around 135,000 said it was because of benefit stigma, whether that be personal stigma in which they felt ashamed or embarrassed to be claiming benefits, or social stigma where other people think that those who claim benefits are lazy, scroungers, etc. This stigma is hard to overcome for sure, and it's not helped by the media constantly amplifying that negative narrative. Are there some bad apples that take advantage of the system? Of course, there'll always be those bottom feeders in every walk of life, but they are the minority, not the majority, and you should not feel ashamed if you are claiming benefits that you are entitled to in good faith. If you are seriously struggling with the cost of living, then you need to overcome that stigma and claim what you are entitled to. Benefits are there for a reason. Use them. Just think about how that extra money could help you and your family out. Would it allow you to pay off some debts? Would it allow you to pay the bills on time? Would it allow you to start putting some money away? Could you put your children in childcare more often, freeing up more time for your partner to then find a job? All these things universal credit can help with, and more, will certainly benefit you and your family with the current costs of living crisis. And isn't that a good thing? F*** what other people think. Don't allow the opinions of others to dictate your actions. Remember, an opinion is not a fact. As Plato said, it's the medium between knowledge and ignorance. So please don't allow personal or societal stigmas get in the way of you being able to relieve that financial burden you might be under. Let me put it this way. If you have a family or people who depend on you financially and you are struggling to get by and you knowingly do not claim benefits because you are afraid of what people might say or think, your pride and ego might be damaged, etc., then you're being a lizard. Man or woman, you have an obligation to provide support and protect your family. If being on benefits facilitates those obligations and you are eligible for them, then claim them. They are there for that purpose. Who gives a what other people think, and stop being so self-centered that you will allow your family to struggle all because of your personal feelings towards claiming benefits. Stop being a lizard. Now, if you are one of these people that perpetuates that those on benefits are useless, lazy, scroungers, fraudsters, etc., then you too are a lizard. Stop it. Stop lumping in the majority of people who actually need help with the minority of bottom feeders out there. You might find that one day you will need to claim benefits because life has taken a wrong turn, and by being a perpetuator of the societal stigma around benefits, you will now fall foul to the personal stigma that is a result of the societal stigma. So, I think the message of this video is simply, don't be a lizard. Hopefully, after watching this video, you now have a better understanding of universal credit and will go and claim it if you are eligible. Has this video helped you? Are you a lizard? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you just saw, please hit the subscribe button up there. And if you want to see some more videos, click over there. See you soon.